A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13. I'm Ritwika Gupta, and tonight we are bringing you part 2 of the highlights of our Indore Springboard. Now, how is Indore reshaping its business environment? What part do infrastructure upgrades and city scale development play in driving this momentum? And how has Indore's reputation as India's cleanest city influenced the overall positioning? We'll be unpacking all that and more in tonight's panel discussion. Joining me tonight are Punyashlok Dwibedy, Assistant Professor Strategic Management and Chairperson Industry Interface Office, IIM Indore, Yugansh Soni, Founder Laabham Group, and Anupama Modi, COO AIIH Foundation.
Straight away get into the discussion, and I want to open this with a unique question. You know, if you had to explain to someone who hadn't visited Indore, say in the last 10 years or so, what really changed the game for Indore? You know, what has made it the economic heartbeat of Madhya Pradesh? In other words, you know, how have you seen Indore's trajectory over the last 10 years or so? Let's start with you, Professor.
I think one of the keystones that have underscored the development of the city has been a lot of focus on cleanliness, which has happened, I think, in the last 10 years or so post the competition started and all of it. So you also have a lot of startups coming up in this area, in this field, in this sector, which I think traditionally we did not have much of.
Anupama, what's your take on this?
So I think likewise, the first most important thing which Indore has, got the center stage is the cleanliness. Like last 8 years, we've been winning this. So that is one thing which has definitely attracted attention of most of the cities around. And another most important thing is startup ecosystems are definitely developing everywhere. But few of our startups who have, come out as success stories and reaching to the IPO stages is, I think, another attraction that has made Indore as a heart of the India. So,
interesting. Yeah. Mr. Yugansh?
Indore as a clean city, it is recognition for the city from across the world. And it is the only city where someone comes from outside and say, if you say at Chappan Dukan, if they are having something, and if they throw a spoon or a plate on the floor, so the shopkeeper comes or the helper comes and picks it up and put it in the dustbin. This attitude is only in Indore. So that is something which India and the world learned from Indore. हम Japan की बात करते हैं, we talk about other countries about cleanliness, but Indore has proved with governance and with help of people of Indore.
Fantastic. Professor, I want to come to you now. You know, IIM Indore, it is seated on a hilltop, literally giving a bird's eye view of how business shifts in central India, of, the kind of business that's taking place in Indore as well. But tell me, on ground, realistically, how can an institution like IIM Indore, how can they shape the next generation of business leaders?
With this setting up of IIM in central India, it was, a big decision because we generally had business coming from the west, east, south, but not so much in the central part of India. So with the idea of creating managers and business leaders who also value the society, the value their impact for how we look at the nature environment. Now that is the sort of business manager that we are able to create in our classrooms, not only for Indore as a city, but for the world. Now, apart from simply looking at our, existing programs like the PGP and all of it, we are also training local managers, business, leaders, and entrepreneurs in the same mold as we teach those that come from around India in our classrooms. So we are basically bringing in faculty from diverse backgrounds who have also seen the world across their experienced. They have been experienced. They have had a lot of diverse research. All of that kind of brings a lot of gravitas to the classroom. And I think that is how we are shaping leaders in Indore apart from those for the rest of India.
Nice. So a little bit of India, a little bit of the world here in Indore. Fantastic. And I've heard that it's a beautiful campus. You know, if I was staying longer, I would have loved to visit it.
Yes. Oh, you're welcome. In fact, all of you are welcome to visit. It's a beautiful campus. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yugansh, I would like to bring you in here. Now, I've been reading headlines about the real estate boom here in Indore, and clearly the skylines are catching up with Indore's economic ambitions. But, from your point of view, say in the next 3 to 5 years, what role do you see the real estate sector playing, in Indore's growth story overall?
Indore is as a private developer, what I want to say is Indore is the only city, if you observe closely, in central India where people are settling down. You will not hear about somebody settling in Gwalior or your chacha's son is settling in, Satna, Rewa, Katni, Mandsaur. Everybody in central India is coming and settling in Indore if they are settling somewhere in the central India. I know a lot of people in last 5 years who are coming down to Indore for work and slowly, gradually now interested to settle in the city because of a very good AQI level, because of it's a water plus city, only water plus city in the country. And the way infrastructure is being planned by government, there are a lot of accusations that we don't need a metro from Indore to Ujjain, or we don't need a metro. But in Bangalore, if you see from Bangalore Central to Yashwantpur, there was a need of metro 7 years, 10 years back. Still they are working on that track and they are unable to drive it properly from Bangalore Central to Yashwantpur. Our government is still trying to cope up with the pace. What need is there and they are trying to develop the infrastructure in advance. They are trying to do it. So this is something which is commendable from the side of government.
Fantastic. Anupama, coming to you, now you work with a lot of startups, incubators, and the startup graph is rising in Indore, slowly but surely. Tell me, what are the biggest gaps, do startup founders in Indore, they are currently facing, and what needs to be done to bridge those gaps?
Thank you so much. I think challenges is something, we're surrounded with most of the time when it comes to startups and Indore as a city. So we are not limited by dreams for sure. And we are also not limited by efforts. But definitely we are limited by product-based innovations. And I think anywhere, everywhere, wherever I go, I see Indore coming more on becoming prominent in terms of IT sector. But then there are a lot of young aspirants who wants to go for product-based innovations. But we really don't have knowledge to handhold these young kids when it comes to two things. One is knowledge, another is infrastructure. So research infrastructure is still something which is very limited to few of the centers which are not very open for the, maybe public access. And so I feel infrastructure, the labs that are required, and the mentoring that is required for these product-based innovations is what is lacking. And that is why a lot of our youth are moving to cities like Hyderabad and Bangalore and Vizag. And if you see those cities, the kind of research infrastructure they have is a different level altogether.
In my opening question, all of you mentioned Indore being the cleanest city, and it is impeccable how it's been named India's cleanest city, 8th time in a row, right? But what I want to understand is that translating into economic wins? Like, are we seeing better tourism? Are we seeing higher investor confidence, or just simply better quality of life? How is the clean and green branding or label, how is that translating into, actual economic opportunities? Anupama, go ahead.
So I think the key thing is the business opportunities. I must appreciate the way our local government is working. I think it would be unfair I even call them as government. I think they've started working as corporates and industries. They are working very differently out of the box, and they have started doing things which industries are expected to do. Say, for example, regularly they do a lot of hackathons they throw problem statements to these academic institutes where, students can think out of the box and generate business ideas.
Same question for you, Professor, and Yugansh. Why don't you take it?
Regarding economic gains coming out of it? Yeah, so I think, so I'll give one example. So at IIM, we have a center of excellence in water sanitation and hygiene. So recently we've had a challenge put forward to different startups to come up with ideas around this particular theme of wash. And we got a lot of applicants from Indore. And we had the challenge, we ran it for a few days, and at the end, we also, we also supported a few of them through grants. Health is one of the most important issues. If we don't have clean air or clean ground, people are going to fall sick more often. They are going to miss work. That will impact the economic activity of a particular place. So how do we make sure that we create products for the future that is going to help us clean the air, clean the ground, and also help people to take care of their health?
It's a very interesting point. Yugansh, you agree?
I second, sir, that cleanliness starts from your home, then your neighborhood, then your colony, then your city. If you see in Pithampur, there is around 7,000 to 10,000 hectares of land being developed by AKVN and MPIDC just for manufacturing. We have a great traction. If you talk to MPIDC guys, Indore and nearby Indore, all the industrial areas are sold out. I mean, there is no city in the country where the development, the infrastructure guys says that it is sold out. Asian Paints is coming in Pithampur. They have acquired almost 84 hectares of land. So definitely food industry, hospitality industry and manufacturing industry needs cleanliness.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13. You're watching highlights from our Indore Springboard. Take a look at the panel discussion.
Yugansh, my question is to you. Super Corridor is something that everybody is talking about. And I know there is an IT park that's being set up, which is attracting 1,000 crore investment in Indore. By 2026, I think it will create some 10,000 new tech jobs. I want to know your honest opinion and point of view. Is it a hype, or do you see this as a genuine economic inflection point?
I'm very openly discussing this issue. There are certain weaknesses of our state and our education system and what we are doing in education from last 20, 30 years. And if we compare it with South Indian education system, like if you compare it with Karnataka, if you compare it with Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and the system which we follow, so we are slightly weak in, producing good brains in technology. But still, in the central India, again I'm coming to the point, there is only one city where people are loving to settle down. There is only one road in the whole central India where in future, by 2029, 30, 31, you will see a road with 20, 25, 30 floors of construction in a building. There is no city, there is no road in central India with a span of say 7-8 kilometers with 20 floors, 25 floors of building. If you see every planned road in the city, there are 1,500, 2,000, 5,000 square feet plots on the main roads, and the building heights are 4 floors, 5 floors, 6 floors. So definitely Super Corridor is going to get a lot of traction. By 2028, 29, it will start consuming. But for bringing that consumption, we have to start building from now.
May I add something on that
absolutely.
education bit? So one of the rare achievements that Indore has, that it has both the IIT and the IIM. So we have placements, that's very well known, right? So IIM placements and IIT placements, all big numbers. My question would be to the, business leaders and entrepreneurs here is, what stops us from having these graduates working here? Why should the graduates that go for these large sums of money work outside of Indore as a city?
So just picking up from what, Professor just said, Anupama, my question is to you. What is the investor climate like here in Indore? What will it take for Indore to become a proper funding destination? Are we looking at more grants or more subsidies or just more angel networks? What do you think that will really make entrepreneurs here stay in Indore, build businesses here, and scale from Indore?
So I won't talk about idealism here, but then unfortunately, it's the angel and VC funds that are required here for the startups to stay. Like I said, the startups unfortunately are not understanding that it's a bubble, what they are running after. I recently had a success story. I listened to the founder of Balaji Wafers, if I may name. It is such a, India has been making, big business houses since long, right? We have MSMEs, we have family business houses. There was nothing like venture capital or angel funding. Unfortunately, startups are not realizing that. In few days back only there was a article regarding this only, that all these big companies that we are reading about, Swiggy, Zomato, all these are actually just shallow. What we are seeing is not actually, they are on financial side, if you see, they're not a success story.
So while startups, she spoke about, they are the, the shining stars of the ecosystem, MSMEs are the backbone of the economy. MSMEs are also the engine of, Indore's economic, landscape, be it in auto components or textile, food processing, pharma, right? I want to know from you, what are the opportunities for MSMEs here? How do you see MSMEs playing a role in Indore's overall growth trajectory?
Great question. More than the large companies, the MSMEs themselves shape the economic, outlook and the vision of any particular geography. And I think Indore is no different. You were right. So Industry Interface Office, which I represent, that deals with MSMEs in and around Indore. So we've been discussing with MSMEs regarding their challenges, problems, and you can't call them teething problems because they have been in the market for quite a long time. But the challenges still remain around funding, market access, and how do we go beyond doing what we are currently doing. So one of the things that what I tell them when we discuss is to look at potential co-optation opportunities. Now this is a new term that's kind of pretty not old. What it says is you look at competition and cooperation together with the large companies. Now, many of these MSMEs are actually part of the value chain that drives the large companies. They are either suppliers or they are partners. They do some small aspect of the larger value chain. Now, why can't the large companies think of these MSMEs as both collaborators and competitors and then jointly develop products that help both of them? We don't want MSMEs to always remain in the MSME category, right? We would, of course, want them to move a category higher. So how would we make them move up the categories? That's only through consistent innovation, and for that, market access is required. For that, access to R&D is required. Good technology, labs, all of that. So I think we are building those up in a good management education, how to deal with customers, suppliers. Now we have that educational support in Indore. We are starting to have those labs. The only thing I think is required is willingness and also a little bit of nudging.
Yugansh, I want to bring you in here, as a seasoned leader, for someone who's watching the show today, an entrepreneur who wants to start a business in Indore, what are the resources available for him or her? How should they start? What is the first step they should take? Is there a checklist they should follow?
In Indore, what I observed from last 10 years, the startup culture, first thing, the definition has to be made clear. Ki startup is not starting a cafe starting a juice center, starting a burger shop. This is not a startup. This is a misconception what I observe from last 10, 15 years in the city. Startup is something that when you innovate something like cable ki jagah Bluetooth, when you started with the new technology, that's a complete disruption of one industry to other industry, one idea to other idea. So this has to be made clear, and I don't think there is a checklist. The only thing is that if you are solving a problem, maybe it is a very small problem, but that should be a problem which you are solving and which is a deliverable solution. Rather than talking, making a concept, start delivering it, start very small, start with like, if you have any ideas, so start with 1 lakh of rupees, 2 lakh, 10 lakh, 15 lakh with help of your friends, family. The first investment which comes to a startup is always family or friends. There cannot be any VC, there cannot be any angel investor. It is very difficult to bring an angel investor because they need tangible business, at least which they can hold, they can understand. But to start, to go to an angel investor, you have to bootstrap till a level that you can show that your product is this and you can deliver that product in a way to your customers like this. To show that also you need at least say 10, 15, 20 lakh. So only your friends, family, banks. And I think today banking sector has evolved in a way that getting 5 to 20, 25 lakh rupees is not a very big deal because they structure that payment, they disburse that payment slowly, gradually understanding you. Maybe if IDFC First Bank has that wing, I saw in Sir's report that there is someone using government instruments as well. Central government has issued a lot of instruments which are being disbursed through banks. So there is somebody who's listening to you and they can take a risk of 15, 20 lakhs.
Similar question to you, Anupama, but from the lens of, say, policy support, like I know there are some MSME clusters, capital subsidies, some startup incentives, but give us a big picture, what is working, what needs to work, what sort of support is required, what sort of resources are required for entrepreneurs here to flourish?
So MP Startup Cell is, I think this is more specific to startups that I'm talking about. So we have this MP Startup Cell that has been set up. Though it was not active all these years, but I think last 4-5 months we see some movement happening. They have announced recently something like EPIC, which is they are announcing that they want to set up 1,000+ incubation centers. For the first time in MP, where government has announced EIR scheme to promote innovation and startup thought process amongst the youth. So I think there are a lot of policies. I think anybody who wants to start up, I think it's important that we understand the state policy. It's very much stated well on the MP Startup portal as well. But the only point is to understand that if I am doing an MSME or there is no element of innovation, it's the banks and the financial institutions that we need to reach out to. If you have really come out with some disruption or breakthrough technology, that is where you call yourself a startup, and that is when you need to go to the VC funds or grants or angel fund. So the only struggle I see every time is there's some amazing businesses coming up, but they get disheartened only because they feel that it did not get invested by angels or VC, but that's not the criteria of a success or a failure of any business, I think.
Thank you so much for your time. This was a very, very interactive and meaningful discussion, and I think we covered a lot of topics. This was absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.